So this is an example of a nested if else. And with a nested if else, you start with a condition. And if it's true, awesome. You, in this case, write out that they got an A and you're done. If it's false, so if the score is not greater than or equal to 90, then we go down and check, well, is the score greater than or equal to 80? Now, a lot of people don't code this right. They make this way more complicated than they need to. What a lot of people code is something like this. And this is not necessary. Okay. So a lot of people think that they have to put in the second part here, score less than or equal to 90. Well, we already know if it comes down into the false section that the score is going to be less than 90. Okay, because if it was greater than or equal to 90, it would have printed the statement and it would be done. So the only way it's going to come down into this second if is if the score is less than 90. So we don't need to code that in. All we need to do is check to see if the score is greater than or equal to 80. We already know it's going to be less than 90. Okay, so if it's greater than or equal to 80, then it's going to print out the message. Okay, if it's not greater than 80, then it's going to come down here. So what we know, if it gets down into this little section, is that it is less than 80, or it wouldn't be down in that section. So all we have to do is check to see if it's greater than or equal to 70, because we already know it's going to be less than 80. Okay. And if that is false, then it comes down here, and it really only needs to check for greater than or equal to 60. We already know it's less than 70, or it wouldn't have come down into this section of code. Okay, and that is how a nested if else works. The if statements are dependent on the previous condition that you're checking. Here is another example. And for this one, they are registering for a conference, and they are basically being told what area they need to go to for their training. So here we've got, what area did you register for? And then we have all these different areas listed. We read in the area, and then we ask, are you attending in the morning or afternoon? And we read in the time. And you'll notice that I read from the council, and then I send it to lower. So that's going to take whatever they've typed in and convert it to lowercase. And the reason I did that is so that I don't have to check all sorts of different upper and lowercase combinations for morning. And that just makes my coding easier. Okay, and then we're down here in our first if, and we're checking if the area is security and the time is morning. This is where they have to go. Okay, and so if that is true, it's going to execute this. If it's false, well, then we got to check to see if it's security and the time is the afternoon. That's true, then we're printing out this statement to tell them to go to room 300. If it's false, well, now we know it's not security. So we're asking them if the area is developer and the time is morning. If it's true, this is where they go. And if it's not true, we're checking for developer in the afternoon. If it's true, we tell them where to go. then we check for networking in morning, and we check for networking in afternoon, and so on. Okay, so this is another example of a nested if else.